People often say family is everything. I used to believe that before the silence, before the forgetting. My name is Munashe, but for most of my life, I was simply called Big Brother, not by age alone, but by burden. I was 13 when my father died, 15 when Mama followed, and 18 when I dropped out of school to take care of my two younger siblings, Tendai and Rutendo. They were my heartbeat, my reason to rise before dawn and sleep only when they were safely in bed. We lived in a crumbling compound at the edge of Rusape. The roof leaked, the walls cracked with every heavy rain, but that home carried the weight of love and sacrifice. I remember a day vividly. Tendai had come home in tears because he had been sent away from school again. Big brother, he said. They said no fees, no school. He was only 10. Rutendo 8, watched with wide, frightened eyes. I had no money, not even a coin. That night I took my father's old wheelbarrow and pushed it 5 kilometers to a maize mill. I begged for work. The owner let me clean the sacks of chaff, and after hours of labor, he gave me 200 Sim dollars, just enough to cover a week's tuition for Tendai. I walked home under the stars, the coins jingling like a song of hope. This was my rhythm. I became father, mother, guardian, and guide. I wore the same pair of trousers until it frayed at the seams. My shoes had holes so wide that my toes grew hard and dark like polished stones. But I never let my siblings go hungry. I never let them drop out again. Rutendo once asked, "Do you ever get tired, Big Brother?" I smiled and said, "Only when you stop dreaming." And they dreamed big. Tendai wanted to be an engineer. Rutendo wanted to be a nurse. I wanted nothing except to see them become everything they imagined. When they passed their O-levels, I felt prouder than I would have ever done in my life. When scholarship came through and they left for university in Harare, I danced alone under the moonlight. I remember telling the wind, "Lord, they are going to make it. My work is done." I was wrong. My work had just begun, or maybe my season of invisibility had. The first year they called, they sent small gifts. Rutendo even sent me a pair of shoes, not new, but sturdy. I wore them like they were gold. Then graduation came. I couldn't attend. I didn't have bus fare. They sent pictures. I hung them on the cracked walls of our kitchen. Tendai in a sharp blue suit, Rutendo in a flowing gown, smiling wide. I waited for the day they would return. They didn't. Months passed, then years. My phone calls went unanswered, texts left unread. I told myself they were busy, important jobs, new lives. Big city have a way of swallowing voices from home. But then one day, I saw a photo on Facebook. Someone had shown me on a borrowed smartphone. It was Rutendo at a wedding. She looked radiant. My eyes scanned the caption with family. My name wasn't there. My face wasn't in any photo. That's when it hit me. I had not just been left behind. I had been erased. Still, I never spoke ill of them. I told everyone who asked, "They are doing well. I'm proud of them." But at night, in the silence, I would talk to Mama's grave and whisper, "Did I do enough, or did I raise them to forget me?" It was a Sunday when I finally saw Tendai again. I had heard from a neighbor that she would be at a women's conference in town. Dressed in my cleanest shirt, I walked the 7 kilometers to the venue. I stood quietly at the back, watching as she led worship. She was graceful, confident, everything I had hoped she would become. After the service, I approached her slowly, heart pounding. She turned, looked at me, and smiled politely. "Hello, sir, can I help you?" My knees buckled. "It's me," I said. "Munashe, big brother." She blinked. Her smile faded. I'm sorry. I don't recognize you," she said softly. She turned away before I could say another word. I stood there frozen, like a tree struck by lightning. People passed by, murmuring, avoiding eye contact. I walked home slowly, the taste of rejection thick in my throat. That night, I didn't cry. I just stared at the roof and prayed, "God, let me forget them too." But he didn't answer with forgetfulness. He answered with purpose. In the weeks that followed, something strange happened. A missionary visited our village. He noticed my small tomato garden and offered to teach me irrigation techniques. I accepted. Slowly, my garden grew into a farm. I hired 2 workers, then 5, then 10. I started selling in bulk. I built a storage shed. I got a loan, bought a delivery truck. My name became known in markets across Manicaland. They started calling me Boss Munashe. But even with money in my pocket, I still lived simply. Same hut, just with a new tin roof. Same guava tree, but now with shade where workers rested. One day, Tendai called. It had been 5 years. His voice trembled. "Big brother, I'm sorry to call like this. We have lost everything. I lost my job. Rutendo's husband was arrested for fraud. Our house was repossessed. The kids haven't eaten in days." I said nothing for a while. Then I said, "Send me your location." Within hours, food was on the way. I sent school fees for their children, paid rent for 6 months, sent them bus fare to come home. When they arrived, they looked thinner and humble. They knelt at my feet. "Forgive us," Rutendo whispered, tears falling freely. "We became what we swore we won't." I lifted them both up. "You were never the problem," I said. "Pride was, and God has cured that now." We sat beneath the guava tree, the same one where Tendai once carved his initial in the bark as a boy. We talked until the stars came out. They called me Big Brother again. But this time, it's not out of need, it's out of love. Tendai now helps with logistics for the farm. Rutendo volunteers at a clinic we built nearby. They live not far from me. They visit often. They even remembered my birthday last year. But the best gift came not wrapped in ribbons. It was when Rutendo stood at a women's event and gave a testimony. She said, "I rose because of one man who never asked for applause. I forgot him, but God didn't. And now I remember. His name is Munashe, our big brother, and he is the reason I stand here today." There wasn't a dry eye in the room, not even mine. So if you are reading this and you have poured yourself out for people who no longer see you, don't lose heart. God sees, God remembers, and one day those who forgot your name may speak it again with honor, because in the end, it's not about being noticed, it's about being faithful. And the reward for faithfulness, it always comes.